Hi guys, welcome back to At Home with Holly. My name's Holly. I'm so glad that you're here with me today. Today is early December and it's a warm one. I mean, it's not warm. It's warmer than it's been. We have been traveling and doing stuff, so my backyard needs some attention. So the things that I need to get done, I'm not sure if I have all the time to do it today, but I'm going to try to squeeze in some today, as much as I can, and then maybe a little tomorrow we'll finish up. But I'll have an asparagus patch that all of the asparagus ferns are yellow and brown and dead. So I want to go ahead and cut those down so that I don't have any asparagus beetles or anything like that overwinters. So that's not something you want to put in your compost pile. That's something you want to get rid of. So I want to snip all those off and throw them away. And if I had a bonfire, I would burn them or something, but I am just going to throw them away. And so I want to get the asparagus bed trimmed up, and then I piled up the compost that we got delivered. I piled up some of that in the bed next to it. So I'm going to cut down the asparagus ferns, remove all the strawberries from that bed because I no longer want a strawberry asparagus patch. I want it to just be asparagus. I want to top that bed off with some compost and amendments. And then I want to mulch it with some straw that I have on the front porch. I think I want to do the straw. We'll see. We'll see how full it is. But I want to get that bed cleaned out, amended, so that the asparagus have a whole bunch of yummy, amazing nutrients to be able to push through first time in the spring. So asparagus bed, I'll try to get as much as I can done, and the rest of it we'll do tomorrow. I'm so glad you're here. Let's get started on some winter cleanup projects. I am looking through my drawers, trying to find all my snippers and nippers. I don't think any of them will be super thick, but want to have a couple options anyways. Okay, I've got some trimmers, and I've also got some big ones, so we'll get those outside. All right, we are also chickens. Every time I come outside, they want a treat. Okay, so we're gonna get this all cleaned out. So I'm gonna get a like a wheelbarrow so we can put it all in, so we can get these cleaned out, and I'll get a rake to pull up the strawberries, and we'll go from there. I love perennials. I have an entire side of my garden that is a fruit perennial side that has fruit trees and blueberry bushes and currant plants and all the things. This is my only vegetable that's a perennial, and I wish I could plant more. But I do love my asparagus patch. We planted these as 2 or 3 year crowns. I forget what they were now. We planted 20 of them in this 8x4 garden bed, and we buried them about 9 inches down, and we covered them with compost, and we take care of them by feeding the soil. And in the first few years, I actually had strawberries, because if you're talking about a really good companion plant, strawberries in theory are really good for the asparagus because they act as a living mulch, and they make it just a nice ground cover, because asparagus doesn't want to compete with weeds, but it just grows through the strawberries really easily. Well, that is great in theory, but I don't like reaching through the ferns to get to the strawberries, because you only can harvest the asparagus for a few weeks, and then after that, all of the smaller pieces of asparagus every year you let grow up and fern out, and they stay like that all of the rest of spring, all of summer, all of fall, and into winter. And when you're having to reach through to get the strawberries, that just wasn't my favorite thing. So I have relocated all of the strawberry plants that we need, at least 80 of them I have in my vertical gardening system, the green stalk. So we are going to switch things up and remove all of these strawberries get it covered and refed with some mulch and some compost. And then we are going to do just the asparagus in this bed, and I'm going to use some straw to act as mulch so that the weeds don't push through. The thing about strawberries is if you plant 10 or 15 of them, as I did, I think I maybe planted 20 in this bed, they all kept reproducing. And so all of the little suckers form baby plants, and they just keep on going. And it's so interesting because as I was transplanting all the little pups, little baby plants, a couple times they didn't take because I didn't give them enough attention, life got busy. And here in this bed, these have been neglected and forgotten about, and they were in there so firm that I was working up a sweat trying to get these out. So now all of the asparagus crowns are buried like 10 inches deep. So I'm just going across the top and pulling out all of these extra strawberry plants and any weeds that have rooted in. I'm not damaging the crowns at all when I'm doing this to the asparagus, just taking out the stuff on top that we no longer are going to want in this bed. So after we got all of the strawberry plants and weeds and stuff in the wheelbarrow, then I went to the next bed, and at the end of the season, I took some purchased compost and I topped off all of the beds, and I had a little bit left over that I wanted to put in this asparagus bed, but the ferns weren't brown and ready to be chopped back yet. So I just piled it up on top of the bed right next to it. And it actually got amended with azomite and humic acid as well. So bonus, I don't have to add that stuff into this bed. And so I left it just piled up on top of this bed. So I pulled back the silage tarp and spread it out. And then I realized, I think I want to add even more. So I did make plans to go to Lowe's, since my local garden center is out of season right now for that. I did make plans to go to Lowe's and do a pickup for a couple bags of compost so that we could get even more nutrients added back into the soil. But I went ahead and smoothed out what we had and got it ready for the next bags to be added the next day. All right, so now this is enrichment for the chickens, and hopefully they find some yummy bugs or something to enjoy from that pile. Either way, they'll scratch it around, turn it into compost. All right, I grabbed a couple bags of this from Lowe's. We're just going to top off the beds all the way to the top. All right, that's a nice layer across all of that. So it is day, 2 or 3 for this project. Today, it has taken an Arctic blast turn, and the temperature is like 12, and the feels like is -5 to 7. So I've got some straw bales on my front porch, and I want to go ahead and get that bed covered because nature is modest. She likes to be covered, and I don't want there to be weeds that plant themselves or do anything this winter. So I'm going to get some straw and cover the bed, and then we will call this project good, and the asparagus will be put to bed officially for the winter. So I'm going to go grab the straw bales that I was using for decorations on my front porch, and I'm going to try to do this as quickly as I can because it is very chilly. All right, so we've got these beds. These are the only beds that don't have landscape fabric on them because since they're blackberries and raspberries, they kind of pop up shoots wherever. So I didn't want to put landscape fabric down. So the rest of these beds are either currants or blueberries and strawberries. So they have landscape fabric. But these three, I went ahead and put straw around the blackberries, the 2 beds with golden raspberries, and then I topped off some compost bins with some straw. That'll sink down in the next week or so. And then I also got our asparagus bed, the ferns cut off, topped off with compost, and then topped with some straw. So everybody's nice and tucked in. These 2 beds have our garlic, and they have mulched up leaves on top of them. I thought about putting some straw on top of them, still might, but I like the idea of the leaves better. I just ran out of leaves when I was doing this bed, so I used the straw. So anyways, that's our projects for this week. All right, that's going to do it for me today, you guys. Thank you so much for all the likes and the comments and the shares. Thank you so much for the support of the channel. If you haven't subscribed, please consider subscribing. We have a whole lot more growing and preserving and chicken tending and fun projects to do. So thank you so much, my friend. Can't wait to see you next time. Bye.